Earlier, we learned some ways to teach your kids self-defense.
But there are other ways to protect your kids, especially during spring and summer. We have Dr. Heather Edgley with us. Always good to have you come in. And
thank you.
You're going to tell us a little bit about your kid gets a cut. What do you do?
Right, so we call it a laceration when you see it in the hospital or at your doctor's office. And so that cut or laceration, what do you do? First thing you want to do is apply pressure to stop bleeding. So you're going to put your hand on it, your palm, depending on how big it is, and hold pressure until you see it slow down. If it's really gushing and you're putting gauze on it, you're probably going to go ahead and come to the emergency room to get that looked at. But if it's something more minor, you want the bleeding to slow down a little bit, and then you want to clean it. Clean it, clean it, clean it, clean it, clean it. I know that seems scary, but no hydrogen peroxide, please. No little balls of cotton. Let's just use water.
Water,
no soap, just water.
You can use soap too. You can use just a gentle or an antibacterial soap, but ideally we just want to flush and flush and flush and flush with water. That's really going to get the majority of the germs out. Now, if you think there's debris in there, then you're going to want to use even more water. Let's say it's like grass or dirt or glass. Those sorts of things you really do want to try very hard to get out.
Yeah, of course, kids, especially with the summer, almost here, notorious for getting cuts. They're outside, they're playing. At what point, you mentioned if you can't get the bleeding to stop, but at what point do you say, okay, we got to go to the ER?
Mostly, it's too big. So that means greater than, about a ½ an inch or so, and gaping. So that means that the sides don't come together on their own very easily, and it looks like it's not going to heal with the edges closed. So that's going to be a reason we might want to put some sutures in it, or potentially consider other ways to close it. But that's one thing. How big is the wound, how deep is the wound, and how gaping is the wound. Also, sometimes location makes a difference. Something on the face, we're going to be more likely to want to take care of because that's going to scar more easily. If it's down on your ankle, maybe not such a big deal.
As far as planning ahead, what should parents have in their home medical kit or first aid that would be useful in a situation like this? Of
course, Band-Aids, antibacterial ointment. If you're out and about and you're not going to be in a place where you can have a fresh supply of water, saline solution is really, really good. So that's always an excellent alternative, and even better than plain water for rinsing out a wound.
Now, you mentioned you want to make sure the wound is clean. Do you always need to have a Band-Aid on a cut, or does it need to breathe and get some air as well?
It's really better to keep it covered. It's going to stay cleaner. It's going to keep that antibiotic equipment on there, and it's not going to ooze, or, it's also, the Band-Aid is going to kind of keep the wound together. So let's say it gapes just a tiny bit and it's not very big. Well, that Band-Aid helps to pull it together, just like steri strips would.
Okay. Dr. Heather Edgley, you always have the best advice, and I think this is very timely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Always.
Well, up next, I'll share a story of a family who gets pumped up over relics from the past.
We'll explain their high-octane business coming up next.